We are hearing Srimad Bhagavad Gita spoken by Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. Yesterday we heard Arjuna gave many reasons why he does not want to fight. But Krishna did not approve. He said, why this weakness of heart? Then Arjuna understood that Krishna is not supporting. Then he surrendered to him and said, I am confused, I don't know. So I am taking absolute shelter to you. You please advise me what is good for me in this circumstance, what I have to do. Then Krishna first explained the difference between temporary body and Atma. And Atma is the person. So he said, if Atma is eternal and Atma is the person, then who can kill someone or who can be killed? Atma is eternal, cannot be killed. It is everlasting and has no birth, no death. Even when the body is slain, Atma is not slain. All this Krishna explained to him. So you should not grieve for the living nor for the dead. And he also told him, even if you don't believe in the eternal Atma, if you think that the self is this body and it is, we see it is born, it will die, again it will be born and it will die again, it is inevitable. So you should not grieve for this. Buddhists, they have such philosophy, or scientists, that you cannot destroy energy, but it will transform. So Buddhists, they also believe that this self, which it is produced by some combination of atoms or certain elements, then it will dissolve, but again it will combine, but that will be new birth. So they cannot believe in one eternal, that individual Atma is eternal, same person is reincarnating. They cannot believe this. For them, self or identity is also temporary, always changing. But they believe there is some karma produced in this life which will affect in next life or new birth, that energy it will affect. So they are careful not to do bad activities. This we heard that in any case you should not grieve. So Krishna is slowly giving teaching. Avyaktadini bhutani vyaktamadhyani bharata avyakta nidhanani eva tatra ka paridevana. O Bharat, beings are unmanifested before birth, become manifest in interim period, and again become unmanifest after death. So what is the cause for lamentation? Explanation. O Bharata, unmanifested beings become manifest after birth, during the period between birth and death, and again become unmanifest after death. So it is no use wailing. Although this theory is untenable and unacceptable to the true knowers of the real nature of the soul, still, if it be admitted for argument's sake, even then you shall have to fight for the sake of the duties of a kshatriya. Ascharjovat pashyati kaschit enam, ascharjavad vadati tathaiva chanya, ascharjavad chainam anya shrinoti, shrutvapyenam vedana chaiva kaschit. There are some who regard this soul as something marvelous, while some speak of him as extraordinary. There are some who hear about him with wonder, while there are others who do not realize him in spite of hearing. Explanation. Out of such ignorance of the real nature of the jiva arise the harmful theories of materialism, of cessation of animation, and of undifferentiated monism. Even those who are Mayavadis, they believe in undifferentiated Brahma. They also don't admit the individual souls. For them, there exists only one spirit, eternal spirit, undifferentiated. When that spirit is some part of it is caught by Maya, like air caught in pot, then that is like individual, but that is all false. So they also don't believe that there is one eternal Supreme Lord and many eternal jivas who are eternal, who are individual all the time. They also don't believe in reincarnation in reality, because they think that same spirit is in another pot, or that air is in another pot, and like this. So they cannot accept this. So out of such ignorance of the real nature of the jiva arise these harmful theories of materialism, of cessation of animation, and of undifferentiated monism. Dehi nityam avadyoyam dehe sarvasya bharata tasmat sarvani bhutani natvam shochitum arhasi. O Bharata, this soul is always incapable of being killed in the bodies of any being, so it does not become you to lament for the living beings. Explanation. In fact, even after death, the soul continues to exist as an eternal and imperishable entity. Therefore, it does not befit you to lament for these perishable objects. Adharmam api chavekshya na vikampitum arhasi dharmyat dhi yudat shreyonyat kshatriyasya na vidyate. Even considering the socio-religious duty, that is to say, your special duty as a kshatriya, you should not be shaken, because there exists no higher good for a kshatriya than to fight for a right cause. Explanation. The duties of a jiva or a person are twofold, according as he is free or bound. In his unfettered state, means unbounded, when free, the soul transcends gross and subtle references, and his only duty is to worship the Supreme Lord Krishna with unflinching devotion. Whereas in his fettered state, the fallen soul is more or less enthralled by mundane relativities. In either case, the duties of a soul will vary according to the degree of his freedom or enthrallment, imprisonment. The duties of an engrossed soul have been prescribed by the scriptures according to his qualities and actions. This system is known as Varna Ashram Dharma, otherwise called Swadharma, means one's own ordained duties. Such prescribed duties are, therefore, normally incumbent on a fallen soul living in a society. The duties of a Kshatriya are to protect the subjects, to subdue the enemies, and to rule the kingdom righteously. What else is more beneficial for a Kshatriya than to fight for a right cause? Because you know, Pandu was blind, so that Kauravas, they were ruling, but after they should give the kingdom to the Pandavas. But Duryodhana did not want to give rightfully. It was rightfully they should get, but he did not want to give. Even Krishna went there to negotiate, and also they requested 5 Pandavas. They said, only you give us 5 villages to rule. Because for Kshatriya he has to rule, how otherwise he will. But Duryodhana did not want to give anything. So there was no other way than to fight for a right cause. So Kshatriya, that is his duty, and it is beneficial for him to fight for right cause. One should not fight for unrighteous cause, for some sense gratification or for something. But when it is right cause, then Kshatriya will fight. Brahmin will not fight. Kshatriya will. Yadrichaya chopapannam svargadharam apavritam sukhina kshatriyah partha labhante yudam idrisham. O Partha, the fortunate Kshatriyas find such a battle as a providentially presented open gate to heaven. By providence it came. So it is very good. It opens the gate to heaven. Explanation. O Arjuna, blessed are those Kshatriyas for whom this battle has presented itself as the open door to heaven. A chet tvam imam dharmyam sangramam na karishyasi tatah swadharmam kirtim cha hitva papam avapsyasi. If, on the other hand, you fight shy of this rightful battle, you will commit sin by shirking your ordained duty, swadharma, and forfeit all name and fame. So if you will not fight, then you will commit sin by neglecting your ordained duty, swadharma, and forfeit all name and fame, lose all. Akirtim chapi bhutani kathayishyanti te vyayam sambhavitasya chakirtir maranat atirichyate. And people will also speak about your eternal ingloriousness. To a man of high repute, infamy is worse than death, especially for Kshatriyas. It is very more painful than death, infame. Hayat ranat uparatam mam syante tvam maharata yesham cha tvam bahumato bhutva yasyasi laghavam. The great warriors will think of you as desisting from fight out of cowardice, and you will be slighted by those by whom you are held in high esteem, disrespected. Explanation. The great warriors who hold you in high esteem will think very light of you and will ascribe your reluctance to fight to your cowardice. Coward. Avachya vadamscha bahun vadishyanti tavahitaha nindantas tava samartyam tato dukha taram nukim. Your enemies will cast aspersions on your prowess and will also speak many unbecoming, foul things of you. Oh, what is more regrettable than this? Hato va prapsyasi swargam jitva va bhokshyase mahim. Tasmat utishta kaunteya yudhaya krita nishchaya. O son of Kunti, if you be killed in the battle, you will go to heaven. If you come out victorious, you will enjoy the world. So arise, O Arjuna, with a strong determination to fight. Because Kshatriya, when he will fight for right cause, even if he is killed, he will get the fruit of performance of his dharma. So he will automatically go to Swarga. And if he will win, he will enjoy this world here. So in both cases, it is good to do duty, prescribed duty. So arise, O Arjuna, with a strong determination to fight. Sukha dukkhe samakritva labha labho jaya jayo tato yudhaya yujyasva nevam papam avapsyasi. Therefore, considering will and woe, gain and loss, victory and defeat as equal, be ready for the fight. In this way, you will not commit sin. So we have to do our duty. That is the point. Explanation. Sin will not touch you if you fight with an aim at final liberation, being indifferent to will and woe, gain and loss, and victory and defeat. Because later Krishna will say, you are not to be concerned about the result. You are to be concerned of your duty, of your work. That is beneficial for you. Here another note is given. It is to be observed that the shlokas 12 to 30 deal with the conception of the pure soul, and those from 31 to 38 explain the nature of the engrossed soul and his relative duties. So when Jiva is free, then she's in her eternal position, eternal function, she's doing worship of Krishna. But when Jiva is bound, then this comes into play. According to your conditioning, Satya, Raja, Tamo, and then according to this you are given some varna and ashrama, and that you have to do that will be beneficial, without thinking of the result, without being attached to result, and with determination, not with this. Arjuna was having this over-attachment to material body and material relations, so he was not ready to do his duty. Of course, Arjuna is a liberated person, but he's playing the pastime of being conditioned and bewildered, and Krishna has to teach him, and through him he's teaching us, conditioned souls. Esha te bhita sankhye buddhir yoge tvi mam shrinu buddhya yukto yaya partha karma bandham prahasyasi. O Partha, the decision about the true knowledge of the self has since been described to you. Now listen to the knowledge of Bhakti Yoga, that is to say, loving service to the Supreme Lord, with the help of which you will be able to shake off completely the bondage of karma. Explanation. So far, Sankhya Yoga or Jnana Yoga and socio-religious duties, Varna Ashram Dharma, have been described. The deeper conception of Bhakti Yoga, loving service to the Absolute Person Shri Krishna by the pure self, now follows. Because he was telling him Gyan, the soul is eternal, cannot be killed, that is. And Varna Ashram, because you are bound, so you have to do this duty. Now, Bhakti Yoga will follow. Here further it is explained, O Partha, if you acquire devotional knowledge, you will be able to free yourself from the bondage of the world. It will be explained in chapter 3 that action, karma, and jnana, abstract knowledge, are the two paths on the transient plane of mundane relativities and are therefore limited and imperfect, while bhakti, service of the pure soul to the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna, is wholly on the transcendental plane. As a matter of fact, when karma and jnana submit to bhakti, they are harmonized into one perfect path of devotion. When action is done without selfish motive for the satisfaction of Vishnu, it is karma yoga. When it is so done and aims at abstract knowledge of attributeless Brahman, it is jnana yoga or Sankhya yoga. On the other hand, when it transcends the limits of both and touches the plane of devotional service to the Absolute Person Shri Krishna, the eternal function of all pure souls, it is known as Bhakti Yoga, or perfect knowledge of eternal relationship with an unalloyed devotional service to the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. Bhakti, or pure devotion, is the eternal link between Godhead and the pure soul. Neha vikrama nashosti pratyavayo navidyate svalpam api asya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. This is very famous verse. In this Bhakti Yoga, no commencement is destroyed, nor is there any fault of infringement. Even a bit of devotional service delivers the devotee from the terrible fears of worldliness. So it is never once how much you do, that is never destroyed or can diminish. And even a bit of devotional service delivers the devotee from the terrible fears of worldliness. Here, explanation. Even a commencement, means start, of devotional service does not go in vain, nor is there any loss in merely attempting it, for even a little of it delivers the devotee from the terrible tremors of the world. Vyavasayatmika buddhir ekeha kurunandana bahu shaka hyanantascha buddhayo vyavasayinam. O descendant of Kuru, in loving service, intelligence is steadfast and exclusive, but the activities of the unloving are endless and manifold. Explanation. O descendant of Kuru, when the devotee directs his activities to the realization of his real self and of Godhead, that devotion is called single-minded, definite, unmixed intelligence, or pure buddhi, pure intelligence. The activities of those who are devoid of any attachment for me, the Supreme Lord, are fruitive, endless, and diversified. In the later case, there is apprehension of fruitlessness of action and of infringement of duties. Bhakti Yoga is of two kinds. One, the primary, which consists in hearing, chanting, meditating on the narratives and glories of the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. And two, the secondary, which consists in the offering of all results of fruitive actions to the Supreme Being. The Supreme Lord Shri Krishna is the sole center of primary buddhi, otherwise known as the single-minded, definite, unmixed intelligence. But those who have no steadfast attachment for the Supreme Lord unwittingly cultivate an inclination for manifold fruitive actions. As their thoughts and activities branch off in different directions, their hankerings and desires know no end. Such activities come under secondary bhakti. Of all processes for the realization of the self and of Godhead, Bhakti Yoga is the best, as it is steadfastly centered in the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna, whereas all other processes are directed to manifold ends and are therefore uncertain of the attainment of the goal. A genuine devotee thinks within himself thus: the means of listening to, singing about, and meditating on the glories of the lotus feet of my beloved Lord Shri Krishna with his associates under the guidance of my Divine Master is also the end. Means is also the end. It is the very essence of my life, as the means as well as the end are identical. It is the only covetable object of my life, desired object of my life. I have no other function than this, nor do I hanker after anything else. Whether there is pleasure or pain when I am asleep, or whether the world continues to exist or not when I am awake, matters little to me. The only duty of my life is the loving service of my beloved Lord Shri Krishna. Such unflinching devotion is possible only with sincere souls. But in Karma Yoga, as the objects of hankering are unlimited, the attention is diverted to multifarious mundane objects. In Jnana Yoga, the activities are directed towards the attainment of attributeless Brahman, the negative aspect of the Absolute. Now, 3 verses. Yam imam pushpitam vacham pravadanti avipaschitaha veda vadaratah partha nanyat astiti vadina kamatmana svargapara janma karma phala pradam kriya vishesha bahulam bhogaishvarja gatim prati bhogaishvarja prasaktanam taya pahrita chetasam vyavasayatmika buddhi samado navidhiyate. O Partha, the steadfast attachment of those who are addicted to enjoyment and wealth, who are ignorant, too much engaged in the extolling portions of the Vedas, without grasping their real meaning, who say there is no truth other than the object of enjoyment, who are attached to trivial desires, hanker after heaven, and speak such apparently sweet words as lead to the cycle of births and deaths, and abound in fruitive actions leading to enjoyment and wealth, and the minds of whom are allured by such words are not deeply and exclusively concentrated upon God. Where there is light, there can be no darkness. When there is darkness, there can be no light. So one who has so many these other desires due to ignorance, he cannot have concentration upon God. That is why when Hiranyakashipu asked Prahlad, how you got this devotion? He said, I did not get by my own effort or by the help of these two, or anyone in this world, or by the combination of all of us. It is impossible. Why? Because they are attached to non-eternal body and relations, and they are only following those Vedic rituals for mundane benefits. So it is impossible to get devotion from such. And I am also Grihavrata, I am attached. So how I got this attention to Supreme Lord is by the grace of Narad, who is pure devotee, has no material attachment. He has concentration on God. So you can have one or the other, cannot have both. But it is possible both in one sense. In 11th canto, Krishna is telling to Uddhava. That is also like one kind of Gita. Here he is telling to Arjuna, there in 11th he is telling to Uddhava. Almost the same. But Uddhava is different type. So there, Krishna told, those who want non-eternal benefits, they are eligible for Karma Yoga. Those who want liberation, they don't want non-eternal things, they are eligible for Jnana Yoga. But those who evoke their faith in me, they have faith in the narrations of my glories, they have faith in me, they are eligible for Bhakti Yoga. Then he said further, if one who got faith in me, but still unable to, though he knows that karma, this enjoyment or all this, it will lead to suffering, he knows, but he is unable to give up. Still, he should go on worshipping me with firm faith and accept those enjoyments, but not with adoration, so as to realize that effect, and he can gradually totally give up. So like that, Gurudev wrote in letters that there is pravriti mark and nivriti mark. When one has full he wants to engage full time for the service of Krishna only. He has such strong desire, such thirst for Krishna. Gurudev said this has to come from within. Then naturally he will be renounced. He can give up all those things and can engage full time in the service of Krishna. But if one is unable, then he should not be given sannyas or ascetic ashram, because that will be temporary. Sometimes we quarrel with our partner or something, then some vairagya will come, but that vairagya will be temporary. After some time, that same will come up. When that fever of vairagya will, with time it will go, again it will come. Or there is shmasan vairagya also, crematorium vairagya. You go to crematorium and some relative died, so you see this is the ultimate end. Then vairagya will come. You will think, yes, I will give up everything, but that is also temporary. It will not last long. And there is cheating vairagya and 4 vairagyas there, Bhaktivinoda Thakur explained. They are all temporary. They are arising due to some worldly cause. But real vairagya is when one gets higher taste of service of Supreme Lord. When one gets such taste, then vairagya will be natural, then he can be given. Like Mahaprabhu also told to Raghunath Das Goswami, now you cannot renounce. Now you should go back home. You should worship Krishna and practice yukta vairagya in your house. Accept those sense objects in relation to Krishna's service like this. You cannot surmount this ocean all of a sudden, and there is no use of making a show of being renounced if you are not. That show bottle renounced or monkey renounced like this. But if someone has that thirst for Krishna, Gurudev wrote, then he can accept nivriti mark. It is not to be trusted just to anyone. But those who want to have this enjoyment, they are unable to give up, unable to regulate their senses. But at the same time, they also have faith in Krishna and they want to serve him. For them, pravriti mark is there. So in a regulated way, through marriage, and or for those some yagyas there, they are doing both, but it is in same direction. So, because the thing is, sometimes when you are in association of pure devotee and he's tasting, then in that atmosphere you also think, yes, everything is useless, only worship of Supreme Lord. But once you lose that association, karma will take you out, or a lack of sukriti or something, then that effect will not be there. Then again that will come. So if at that moment you will take sannyas, and then it will take you out, then you will not be able to hold. Or sometimes we have different periods in life, like if you are under Ketu, that planet, then that will push you towards seeking liberation. So you will be very inspired. You will see everything is non-eternal. I have to get liberation. But then when that period will be over, hours after 7.5 years, then if Venus will come, then it will be opposite. It will push you to worldly enjoyment. Or sometimes we have certain past samskaras. They are sleeping. And when there is some opportunity comes, by the will of Krishna, by karma it comes, then you don't know, before you don't feel. But when that opportunity will come, and that some samskara will come, or that some karma will come, then you will be forced so much. You will not be able to resist. Before you did not feel, but suddenly it comes. So it has to be deeply taught. And also, Guru has to see about your samskaras like this. You heard many times from Gurudev, in conditioned soul, there are waves of good thoughts and waves of bad thoughts. And they are coming and going. They are not permanent. Like when you are in good, then you think, yes, everything is temporary. My only duty is to worship Supreme Lord. Then Guru said, at that time you do as much as you can. Don't hold yourself back. You do more, because it will not last. And then when bad way will come, then you will be pushed for sense enjoyment and you will have no taste for bhajan. Then Gurudev says, somehow you have to suppress that and try to do bhajan. Try to give that up. Don't indulge, don't fulfill. You try. At least you try. Then, even if after trying you will be unable, you will fail, you will do that, still that will not go in vain, that effort. Because next time when bad wave will come, it will come with less force, because you gave some effort. Even if you failed, but you gave effort. And if you, in good way, when you do bhajan more, then next time good wave will come with more force. So like that you have. So sadhaka is always in these waves. And some past karma is coming. Before you had no desire, but suddenly it comes. Because you did some action in past, and that fruit is waiting for you in future. So when that time will come, like you know our Padmanabha Maharaj, he became brahmachari in our mat. But one time, by joke, they went to some astrologer, and that astrologer saw in the chart of Padmanabha Maharaj that you will get married at the age of 30. It is certain. You cannot escape. It is firmly, it is seen there. Then he became afraid, He had no desire to marry or anything. He was brahmachari in the mud. Then he went to another astrologer. That astrologer said same thing. It is sure. At the age of 30, sure. It is there in your karma. Then to third one he came. He said same thing. They all predicted, but he did not feel any desire to get married. So when that age of 30 came, that time he started to feel all of a sudden. Then he tried his best to control himself, but could not. He was so disturbed and pulled and everything, and he tried, but was losing. Then he wrote one letter to Gurudev, telling him that this is happening to me. Openly he expressed everything, and I tried my best, but I'm failing, so you please rescue me. Then Gurudev was very happy. He said, you opened your heart without any hesitation. This is good. Simple-heartedness is Vaishnavism. So then Gurudev gave him some instruction, and by the grace of Gurudev, following those instructions, because he took shelter of Gurudev, and following his instructions, then he could overcome that. So sometimes we don't know. We think, oh, we are all right. But it may come. So Krishna knows, Gurudev knows. And like you heard that example of Gurudev, when there is one dog and his tail is curled. Curved. Then you pull it. Then it will be straight. But once you let it go, it will go to same thing. Like that, Gurudev said, when we are in sadhu sangha, then we think we are all right. But when we come out, then again all those things come. So everything is possible by the will of Krishna and Guru. If we can submit to them, they can give all power. But it depends also on capacity and what kind of samskaras one has from past. That Gurudev also sees. So he will not give, because it comes. Like Bhaktivinoda Thakur also he wrote, for some to have 5 wives in this life is very good. He said. Why? Because in past life he was monkey and he had 25 daily. Female monkey without any restriction. So in this life, if he's having 5 wives, is good, is improvement. But for some, 1 wife is good. And for some, he can escape this. So it depends on past sanskara. So if Gurudev sees that he has such samskaras, such previous habits, like if someone never drank alcohol, he has no addiction. But if someone all the time drank, he's addicted, then you cannot give same advice to them both. You can easily say to this one, yes, this is not what you do. But to that person you cannot. You have to say, you are addicted, you are drinking wine every day. So now you should do it only every second day. You should drink wine. Not every day, but second day. Then after some time you should take only twice a week. Then once in a week. Then once in a month, and then you should give up. But it would be impossible for that person to give up immediately. It is impossible because such samskaras are there. So Gurudev has to see these samskaras and has to advise accordingly. It is not same for all. But sometimes due to necessity, if arises, it can also, they will give, but they know that in future, they will, like in war, I told, when there is war, everyone is given a weapon, you fight, you kill, but when the war is over, then there is another thing. So according to this, so here it says, if one is attached to non-eternal things, he cannot be attached to Supreme Lord. That is true. But if one has awakened faith in Krishna, he knows, I am eternal servant of Krishna, I should worship him. But due to past so much samskaras, he has such addiction and everything, so all of a sudden he will not be able to give up. So Vedas, they give some regulations, or Gurudev gives some regulations which will be progressive for that person, so how he can progress. He will do Shravan, Kirtan, everything, he will do as much as he can, and at the same time he will regulate by some process, progressive, then he will go. So that is not same as one who is ignorant of the fact and he is fully attached to non-eternal all desires. That is another thing, as if one who awakened faith but not yet pure devotee and caught up in bad habits, bad samskaras. And this is not so easy. It may take many lives also to overcome certain bad habits, anarthas, samskaras. Even you heard Gurudev saying, Prahlad Maharaj is pure devotee, ideal, Uttamadikari. And his son is Virochan. And Prahlad gave him advice. He sent him to school for demigods, to Brihaspati, and he did everything for him. But still, Virochan could not accept. He could not become devotee. And Prahlad did not become disturbed because of this. Why? Because he understood. I did my duty to him. For his eternal welfare, I did my duty. He was not attached to the result. And at the same time, he understood he has so much bad samskaras, so it is impossible for him to accept. When that will be loosened, then that will also, then he can come. But at that moment, it was not possible. So it is not so easy. And not all disciples of same Guru are of same status. No. They have different past, different all samskaras, all this. So Gurudev said that bona fide Guru must have all scriptural knowledge. That is one thing. Another thing is he must have realization of Supreme Lord. He must be experienced so that he can advise his disciples according to their capacity, their present status, circumstance, everything he has to, because not all advice, not one advice will be suitable for all. Like before we heard, 5 wives is good for one. 5 wives. Bhaktivinoda Thakur saying, personal associate of Mahaprabhu, he said 5 wives is good. In comparison to what kind of samskaras he has. And for some, drinking alcohol every second day is good. Is very good. But for one to drink like once in a month is very bad. It's not good. So it depends. So everyone has to progress from where he is. And Guru, bona fide Guru, will give proper guidance. Like here, Krishna is telling to Arjuna, you are a Kshatriya. So this is your duty. But to Uddhav, he did not say like that. So tomorrow we will hear the explanation. I gave some explanation now what came to me, but actually here Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also gave explanation to this verse. No, tomorrow not. Tomorrow is Gadadhar Pandit appearance. Tomorrow we'll hear his glories, day after tomorrow. Hari Bol.